Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Let's Eat. Today is another episode of Let's Eat Family Dinner, which is my opportunity to basically just talk and tell you what's been going on, what's the latest. I have a few topics I want to cover today, more around life updates, and then there's a topic I want to touch on just briefly for an upcoming episode. I'm going to share a little bit about what I've been loving lately and a few questions that I've been asked that I want to cover regarding health, wellness, and so forth. Just as a reminder, you always have the opportunity to have a question featured if you are interested at any point. If you DM me or just send me a message, I'm happy to speak at greater length on some of these questions and topics. So please feel free to let me know. So as usual, let's talk a little bit about what beverages I have with me today. So I've been drinking Shilajit, which I guess I can just talk on quickly right now. Shilajit is what is considered a live mineral resin. Okay. And this is like ancient medicine, if you've ever seen it, right? Ancient, like this dates back years and years and years. Okay. I don't even know where this particular Shilajit is sourced from, like as far as like geographic location, but it is essentially, if you look at it, it looks like tar. Okay, so just envision tar. That's essentially what this is. And you put a very small amount into water, warm water. I like to add lemon and ginger juice to it to help with the flavor, to just make it a little bit more of an enjoyable bev, because I won't lie and say, I won't lie. I'll say that the taste of the Shilajit itself is a little bit deep breaths, right? So for the sake of health, I'm committed. Okay. So Symbiotica makes a Shilajit. And I was also asked by a company, which I haven't shared this on Instagram yet, to try their Shilajit. And what's interesting is when it comes to quality, you want to be sure that it's the highest quality. Okay. Because nowadays you can find lots of Shilajit all over the internet, but it's a matter of how it's sourced and how it's tested and the quality, which I think goes for a lot of things. But for this specifically, you want to be sure you're doing your research. And Symbiotica sources their Shilajit from the brand that was emailing me asking if I wanted to try their Shilajit. So I knew it was a good quality brand. So I have their Shilajit as well as Symbiotica's. I'm working through Symbiotica's right now. And it has 84 plus different types of minerals in it. Okay, so it's essentially this powerhouse substance that is loaded with nutritional value. So just dense across the board. And it can be used in a number of ways, right? It's not like it's meant for just one specific thing. I think overall it's helpful for detox, for immunity, right? It just gives your body a large amount of minerals, like a micro dose of minerals in, one serving, and it can be added in for, just general health, to reduce inflammation, whatever the case is. So this was something that I had always been eyeing, but I never committed to it. But now that I've been affiliate with Symbiotica, I've been trying a lot more of their products. And so I've been really excited to add this to my routine to see how I feel as a result of it. And then, like I said, the brand, I think it's called Pure Black. I have their Shilajit in my pantry. Once I'm through with this one, I'm going to incorporate that. But they gifted that to me, which was very generous. So if you are in the market and you want to give it a go, Symbiotica is, like I said, a high quality brand. I also use a lot of their other products. So the link for Symbiotica to try their products is in my is in the show. I was going to say in my bio. It is in my bio, but in the show notes. And then this other brand is called Pure Black. You can take a look at their website too. But that was one of what I've been loving lately topics, was incorporating, Shilajit as kind of this daily dose of nutrition. And like I said, I've been doing it with warm water. Usually my glasses are let me get the biggest glass I can find. But because I just want to have this as like more like a tonic as opposed to like a full blown glass of something, because the taste of it, I won't lie, like I said, it's different. But if it tasted like delicious, I would be like, what's up with this? Okay, this is too good to be true, right? So for the sake of health, your girl will do a lot of things, including drinking this, which, how cute is this mug? One of my best friends got it for me. But it's warm water, lemon juice, and ginger juice. So give it a go. I don't know if it's something that I'll necessarily like keep up with religiously. It might be if I notice like it's really, helping my body in a number of ways. What I'm navigating right now, my body could use a lot of support. So we're going hard with it. But we'll see how it goes. We'll see how it goes. It can be, might be like a as needed type of thing. And yeah, so give it a try if you're intrigued, or if you've never heard of it before. It's something new, and you can do more research on it, obviously, because there's tons of information out there around it. But very cool, very cool. So I have my Shilajit in warm water that I'm sipping on. I also have my coffee today. Got started at a late start. I slept in this morning, which my body doesn't like to do that anymore. And so the fact that I could sleep till 7 this morning was everything. I feel great. And I'm like, I love it. But that then does delay me like 2 hours, right? Because if I'm usually getting up between 5 and 5:30, and then I'm not getting so I ended up going grocery shopping, just some odds and ends that I needed, because I didn't want to take on the mess that is ShopRite at 9 o'clock on a Sunday morning. Usually I get there right when they open. And if I don't get there in that window, your girl is not grocery shopping. Okay. But it is getting later in the morning, early afternoon now, and I'm still drinking this coffee. So I really should probably pick up my pace here, because I don't like to have caffeine later on in the day. And it's also getting cold. So, okay. And then I also have my electrolytes. So that's the lineup here. I will have a nice smoothie after I record. Today's a rest day, so we're leaning into the rest day. It's also a rainy Sunday morning. So what better time to record a podcast than right now? So let's get into family dinner. Let's talk about it. So we'll start with my holistic dentist update. Okay. I don't even say update. I haven't even talked about it. So let's talk about it. It was, and if you follow me on Instagram, you were probably like, Emily, relax. It's fine. Like, can we stop talking about it? No, we can't stop talking about it, because it was one of the coolest experiences. If I would say the coolest experience to have in terms of experiences with healthcare. I found this dental through my local ladies group, and I had searched in the group holistic dentistry, because I've been going to the same dentist. I'll give you a little background. I've been going to the same dentist since my hair is just not, it's just not hairing today. I've been going to the same dentist since I was born. Okay. Like, you go to this dentist office, and I'm one of 4, right? So they know all of my life. They know all of my siblings. They know every major milestone. They have known my family for 30 years. Okay. They always ask about my mom, because obviously my mom doesn't live in the area anymore. They ask about my brother. A lot of them are friends. My brother, who is dealing with his own health issues, so they always check in on him. They're friends with my mom on Facebook usually, or most of them are. So they, keep up with her on there. But this dentistry, like, has seen my whole upbringing, even on like those intake forms, when they give it to me to check to see it has anything changed, has your address changed, any new updates, you see like my signature from when I was 16. I see my dad's signature from when I was like 6, right? Like, this is childhood core memory, right? Is this dentistry. And I know all the hygienists. it's just, yeah. But needless to say, they are a dentistry, as like many others who don't operate maybe through a more holistic lens. That's fine, right? That's fine. However, I've gotten to the age now where, and this is the same experience I had with my primary care doctor, that I realize, why am I seeing a doctor? Why am I seeing a dentist that is not in alignment with how I feel about health and dental health and so forth, right? And also, I don't have dental insurance. So really, I was paying out of pocket no matter where I was going. So at the end of the day, I was like, well, I'm going to be paying an arm and a leg. So I might as well go somewhere that is maybe going to offer me a little bit more and, will support me and my teeth and my oral health in a way that I think is, more suited for what I believe to be the best avenue of care. Right. So I ended up finding this dental practice through my, like I said, local group. And I scheduled this appointment. I want to say it was like April, or yeah, like maybe April, March or April. And the soonest it could get me in was August 27th. So I was like, okay, wow, that's wild. Now, I guess with like typical dental appointments, right? It really is only twice a year that you're seeing the dentist. So, and getting a cleaning. So to me, it was like, okay, that's great. I'm happy you can even get me in this year, right? Like that's awesome. So I was very excited for this appointment, anticipating it. When I was on the phone with the receptionist, she was telling me about how, it's a 2-hour appointment. You meet with the oral nutritionist, you go over, gum health, dental health. It was just like immediately I was blown away by the fact that it was a 2-hour appointment. The average doctor's appointment is, I think, 8 to 12 minutes long, or 9 to 12 minutes long, right? And it's wild to think that they were scheduling me in for 2 hours. 2 hours. That's crazy, right? So she gave me kind of the briefing and said I need to complete intake paperwork. So naturally, I waited to the last minute, August 26th. I printed out the onboarding intake paperwork, and it was great. It asked all about my diet. It asked what supplements I was taking. It asked about my level of activity. I mean, it was so refreshing to be able to fill that out. It asked for like a 3-day food log. It was so cool. Immediately, I was like, this is so cool. This is how all healthcare practices should operate, whether it's oral health, general health or not, right? Whatever it is. So the practice itself is about an hour for me. It was like a good solid hour because we were like taking back roads, right? We were going the back roads of Pennsylvania from where I am. And I got there and they took me back to this private room, and I met with Anthony, which Anthony will be joining me on the podcast, and I'm so excited. I kind of just said to him, hey, after we had done our little hour-long intake process, I was like, so I have a podcast. Would you by any chance be open to joining me on the podcast or coming out? He's like, yeah, I get asked that sometimes. And he's like, absolutely. So I gave him my card. And it's funny because I gave him my card and then he gave me his card. And I haven't yet emailed him because my card is in my purse and my purse always just stays in my car. So I was like, oh, I have to email him because I wanted to follow up and like seize the opportunity. And he emailed me this morning. He's like, I lost your card, but I looked your email up in the patient record. And I was like, okay, this is a sign. Because he lost my card, but then still wanted to follow up about, just being, whether it was podcast related or just being in the same network of health and nutrition and so forth. So I just emailed him back earlier. I was like, oh my God, like this is so great. I would love to have you on the show. So we'll see. I think we're good, but that's where really I'm going to get into the depths of what I talked with him about. So you can learn more. I don't want to spend too much time here talking about it, but we sat and we had the opportunity to look at my x-rays. He showed me my teeth and like talked about like the enamel, the dentin, the root of the nerve of the tooth. Like this is stuff I never learned. Never, ever learned. I've never heard the word dentin in my life. Literally never heard of it in my life, okay? So he's telling me about mineral loss and then the progression of, what word did he use? The word's gonna escape me. I can see it, but like, I don't want to say it and sound incorrect. Anyways, it was mineral loss. It progresses to something else. Then it progresses to the cavity, and then it progresses to a severe cavity, right? And oftentimes when it comes to our, dental kind of approach, is you're only made aware that there's a problem when a cavity is present, right? And how often are doctors, or dentists rather, saying, oh, you have like minimal mineral loss, let's talk about what you can do for it, right? It's more just like, oh, we're going to keep an eye on that, but we'll come back in 6 months or a year and we'll see what's going on, right? And it's not until it progresses to the point where there needs to be a filling or there needs to be a root canal, right? Which you talked about root canals, that, something's to be done about it. And that's so Western medicine of them, right? That is so Western medicine coded vibes, all of the things. The fact that you can have these subclinical symptoms, and my mind kept going to that when he was talking, because I'm like, this makes so much sense. When we have these subclinical symptoms, or our blood work looks okay, right? Or it looks normal, but it's on the higher end or the lower end, and that doesn't, like, it's on that line, right? When we have these subclinical symptoms like fatigue, like brain fog, like, indigestion, acid reflux, irritability, right? These subclinical symptoms that are just kind of just dismissed to some extent. I don't want to say dismissed entirely, but they're not looked at as being like a cluster of symptoms that could speak to dysfunction, right? Like, it's not until we meet the criteria for a certain diagnosis or disease that we are given the attention that we're looking for. But if we're just in this kind of low level state of inflammation where we're feeling not good, but we're not feeling terrible, we're just expected to live that way, right? There's not really any urgency to look at those symptoms, which are often preceding disease of some kind, right? Or they're often indicative of something's not right. This is my body's way of communicating with me on it. And in a year, it could look much differently. It could be something else, right? So this concept of mineral loss is very similar, where it's our teeth are starting to decay, right? And if we were to just have the resources and knowledge about how to nutritionally support our teeth and how to, address that before it progresses to something like a cavity, I think we would probably see a much greater reduction in the need for us to have this extreme dental work, just because we get to the issue before it gets too far, right? Before it gets to the dentin, because that's essentially what's happening, right? It's like the enamel, which is the hardest structure in our body. Look at me, just knowing oral health things. Thank you, Anthony. This is all Anthony. The enamel, right, is the hardest structure in the body. Okay. And then it's the breakdown, the decay of that leads to the dentin. And that's where, a filling is necessary. But if we just learn more about mineral loss and what to do about preventing that, we would be so much better off. Right. So we talked all about this concept. We looked at my teeth. We talked about diet and nutrition. We talked about how to best support our mouth in terms of ensuring that it is able to do what it needs to do in terms of our saliva and giving our body enough minerals to help support prevention of decay, but also the acidity of our mouth too. So he said we can prioritize one of two things. We can prioritize being sure there's food removal taking place, which is in another way of saying flossing, right? Which I'm going to share. I just bought this morning, these different like floss picks, I guess, or brushes. I'll share about what I'm going to be adding into my routine to help to optimize this, but also supporting the acidity of your mouth, right? And baking soda, which is wild because we think about baking soda and a lot of times we immediately think, oh, well, it's too abrasive for our teeth. I think that's like the message that we've been sent. But what I learned was this message was sent out by the ADA, the American Dental Association, right? This was years ago, decades ago, because a man, I forget his name, but a man spoke out about, hey, listen, like this is something that could work. This could actually be really effective to use baking soda to help prevent tooth decay, right? And the ADA sent out a message with no backing to it and said that it was too abrasive for the teeth. So that completely squashed that idea of, okay, if we could just use this baking soda, it could actually be, helpful. So that's just a bottom line tip that I can offer you. And this is what I was offered while I was speaking with Anthony, is to sprinkle some baking soda on your toothpaste. If your toothpaste doesn't already have baking soda in it, that can be a really great addition to your oral routine. And it's so easy to do. It's so easy to do. So it's the food removal. That's important. And then it's also being sure that there's no acid between your teeth. Okay. And so what I'm going to start doing is I'm going to start using baking soda in a way that's more intentional to be sure that I'm supporting this part of my teeth routine. And that will help to prevent that acid from building up between the teeth, which then promotes decay. Another topic that we talked about was fluoride and how problematic fluoride is. And this goes back to the topic of toxins. And basically, long story short, the concept that Anthony was trying to promote was the fact that, with the use of actively promoting good oral hygiene and being on top of your dental care in this way, fluoride would really cease to exist, right? Like it would become obsolete because we wouldn't need this maybe band-aid ingredient to the routine if we were just more aware of how to take care of our teeth more effectively. And I found this to be so interesting, right? Because we're not taught these things. We're not taught how to adequately take care of our teeth. And so, we feel like it's kind of out of our control. Like we can only do so much just by brushing our teeth or, whatever the case is. And that fluoride is just kind of a part of being at the dentist about, this is just what we do to support healthy teeth. But what Anthony was saying, like our teeth are in our mouth already. Like they that what Anthony was saying was if we got rid of the acids, which is like the food that's being caught in our like even like particles that we don't even know that are there, if we were more aware of that, prioritize our mineral intake, prioritize food removal, like I said, right, and took the necessary steps to help support our teeth optimally, fluoride would not be necessary. And they say it's the dose that makes the poison. That's like a very common phrase that's used in toxicology. And it's not the dose that makes the poison, right? It's the idea that like, oh, small exposures to these poisons, to these carcinogens, to these endocrine disruptors, to these toxins, these chemicals and so forth isn't that bad. But if we look at it closer, we realize that over time, buildup of these exposures actually cause a lot of harm, right? Because the argument is that, oh, well, no one's going to be drinking a bottle of, Lysol. It's just a little exposure here and a little exposure there, but it's no longer, you know, that's no longer the case, right? Like that's an outdated approach. It's the fact that the research is done on people who have mass exposure to these poisons, and that's when negative health repercussions come about. They're not looking at those micro impacts that having just small amounts over the course of time can have on our biology, on our DNA, and so forth. Okay. I will also include some brands that he recommended in the show notes for you to take a look at. One last thing that I want to touch on, I'll give you kind of the rest of the appointment in a nutshell, but the biophotonic scanner. Okay, that sounds like super fancy, but it's this scanner that I put my hand up to, all right, and it scanned my skin to look at the level of carotenoids, which is a class of antioxidants that were present in my skin. And this is basically the sum of the past 3 months of my carotenoid balance in my skin. And this would give us information about where I stand nutritionally to best support my teeth, which is crazy. Okay. This is wild. And I wish I could give you a visual of this. I'm wondering how I could do that. I don't know how I could do that. But really, really crazy. And basically, there was this scale that, depending on the number that you got, put you in a certain category. They used colors to kind of, you know, break apart each category to categorize each of the different sections. And I fell in optimal range, which I was very proud of. I was like, I better fall into optimal range. Like, I eat antioxidants all the time. It's like I literally eat them all the time. So I was very proud of that. But it would give us a little bit more information without, the dentist saying, okay, so how many fruits and veggies do you eat? And someone saying, oh, I eat a lot. And they don't actually, right? There's no way to lie about this. Like you just, it shows in your skin, like what's going on there. And obviously if you fell short, or if you were under, in the suboptimal or, below average range, that would be a conversation to be had, right? Like, okay, maybe we should talk about adding in more of this. But it was so cool. Like, what a cool concept that you can see how much nourishment essentially you have in your body through this scanner. And he explained the science of it. He explained kind of like, areas that people might be like, oh, well, like, what if I overdose on veggies in the week before my appointment and it's just not effective? It's going to show the 3 months. But it's really, really cool. Now, there was room for me to grow. I will say that. I could have been in this blue-purple range and I was only in the green range. So in another couple months, if I go back there, I am going to push it. So I am determined. I'm challenging myself. Let me get higher. So we finished up there and it was great. And I can't wait for you to listen to the episode with him on it. And then I went to meet the dentist. The dentist was very thorough. He looked at my gums. He did an oral cancer screening. He walked me through my mouth, essentially. Like, he showed me the x-rays, the most recent x-rays. We had taken some that day. And he walked me through. He showed me what I could look at, right? Like, this is the enamel, this is the dentin, this is the nerve, right? A little bit of decay there, or like, whatever it was. He said overall, we were looking good, right? Which is awesome to hear because I'm not doing this just yet. I mean, I am nutritionally, right? But I'm not taking care of my teeth the way that they suggested that I do. So I'm so excited to see like what another year or 6 months brings, to see, what can come of my teeth as a result of this. And he gave me some strategies to implement. He was just really thorough and made time for questions. It wasn't like, oh, I'm in a rush, let me just do my thing and, move on. And it was a really, really great experience. Really great experience. So I will put the info for the dental practice in my show notes. If you're local, if you're in New Jersey, Pennsylvania, even Delaware, I mean, it's worth the trip, hands down, and more to come as Anthony is a guest on the show, which I can't wait for that. I can't wait to learn more. But overall, yeah, it was a really, really great experience. And if you don't follow me on Instagram or head over to TikTok, I'll probably share there too some of the new strategies that I'm going to be incorporating for the sake of supporting my oral hygiene. Okay? Nextly, let's talk about my focuses for the fall. It's September 1st. We are now officially into fall. And let's talk about it. So I am very excited for fall weather. I'm excited for things coming up in the fall. I have just this past weekend really kind of come to terms with the fact that my plate is full. It is full and it is over full. Okay. There's a lot going on and there's a lot of things I am trying to make time for in my professional life. I will say that because it's really just professional things and it's a lot and I expect a lot from myself. And so that begs the need for me to be extra aware of how I'm also taking care of myself. right? So a lot of good things happening. I have some new opportunities unfolding, which is really exciting. I shared on Instagram, I'm going to be doing some work with TCNJ, which is the school that I got my master's at, the College of New Jersey. I have a new partnership with MindBodyGreen, which is doing some content for their functional nutrition program, which I completed in the spring. They reached out and they wanted to see if I would be interested in creating content for the program. So I said, yes, how cool. I love MindBodyGreen. I love MindBodyGreen. So really, really excited for that. I am, as you know, working on my Pilates certification. I am trying to make time to read, which is always the struggle. And I know that sounds so kind of silly, but I want to do more of that. That to me is important for my growth as a coach, but also just to continue to learn and become a better person, become a better Emily, and also give myself the space to disconnect and do that, right? Which I think is ultimately the biggest struggle. I'm also still in the midst of writing a book, which that has been now 2.5 years in the making. I kind of took a little bit of a hiatus, but the framework is still there. The outline is there. I have like probably close to 200 pages written. So your girl is like on her way. But now it's kind of like, well, I've kind of lost the spark for it. I'm doing other things. A lot of it is just changed for me. Like I think I look at it and I'm like, holy cow, like some of the things that I wrote in the like first few pages like are no longer relevant. I think the first sentence says, as a mental health therapist, like your girl is no longer a mental health therapist. So there's a lot of like editing I need to go back through it, not only just in terms of like status of who I am now, but just beliefs. Like I've grown so much in the past 2 years around the way I eat, the way I operate, what I believe in. I mean, there's just so much that I've learned and so many ways that I've grown. So yeah, that is not something I ever plan to let go of completely, whether it's with this company or not. Like, I don't even know the first thing about publishing a book, but it has been something that I've been working away at. I have June 1st, 2022 is like the first day that I sat down and started writing. And I'm really proud of it. And I want it to happen. It's just, how am I going to make it happen? We'll see. Like I said, there is somebody that I had been in touch with, and that's why I started it, because I was approached for it. But I haven't been in touch with this person in some time, and I don't even know how this works. Like, did they move on? So I have to kind of work this out. But this is definitely an ongoing project that even if it takes another 5 years, like that's fine. I just want to make this happen because I've invested time in it and I'm proud of it. And it's a really cool thing. And it's something that I've always thought about doing. So that will unfold as it will unfold. I don't know what the next steps there look like, but we'll keep you updated. And yeah, I'm thinking about going back to school. I think I may have touched on this. So that is to be determined. I love school. But other than that, I'm just loving what I'm doing, loving my work, loving the podcast, and really finding a groove with all of it. And it's just the best. I'm so happy doing all of this. So I can't complain. And, it's just one foot in front of the other and, learning as I go. And I'm excited for the fall for, what's to come with client work. And I was I was running a monthly membership for about, I want to say like maybe a year and a half. And I have decided to close that because I just needed to take something off of my plate. And I decided that would be the best next step. So that is closed as of today, but not forever. I'm really excited to expand and do more there and open the door for that again. It's just, I had to take the responsibility off of my plate for the time being. So that is closed temporarily. And I'm hopeful come 2025, there will be more on there that I can share and hopefully, more exciting things. as like a monthly portal or, like membership option, because I do have quite a few trainings in there. I mean, there's a lot of good stuff in there. So I'm hopeful to be able to use it in a different way. Just right now, it's just not a priority for me. A little bit of a health update. So I've been it's been a couple weeks, been a couple weeks. Don't really know the adjective to describe it necessarily. As most of you know, I've been dealing with a gallstone journey. I've been working with a practitioner, a naturopathic doctor, since March, I want to say, or April, on working towards dissolving the gallstones that I have. Now, I do have a genetic susceptibility to this. So that explains maybe why this is happening for me. Now we know it's not all genetics, right? But I personally, given my history, I, am not totally surprised by this because I did not know about my genetics up until last year. And I did not take serious precaution around my genetics until last year. Right. So this is where I think it's really valuable, because if you know, say, for example, for me, I have difficulty with detox, right? So that automatically means I have to be aware of toxins, alcohol, stress, right? All of these things. And even further, maybe supplement with different nutrients or, supplements of some kind, right? To help support my body's innate detox pathways. Now, this has never been something that I've done, right? Because I did not know that this is something that I personally need extra support in. So my whole 20s, right? I was drinking. I was using probably too many toxic products, right? I was eating well-ish, right? Certainly not what I'm doing now. Definitely not what I'm doing now. But I was doing, just what I thought was healthy. And I think that this is a byproduct of that, because it just wasn't enough to support this area of my health, because genetically speaking, I have more trouble, right? So long story short, found out I had a gallstone in 2022, didn't start actively working on dissolving now 2 gallstones in this past spring. Had an ultrasound at the end of July, come to find out the gallstones are still there and they've gotten bigger, right? So of course I'm feeling super frustrated. So now dealing with some discomfort, and when I say some, I mean quite a bit of discomfort ongoingly, and not really sure what's the deal here. So I've amplified my supplement routine. I've added in some new supplements. I am waiting to see a GI doctor next month and, get some clarity there. But it really puts me in this position of, what are my options? Okay. Because any doctor in traditional healthcare will tell me, if you're having symptoms, if you're having pain, you should remove the gallbladder. And that is just not something that I want to do. That's why I took this route in the first place. And it's really, really tough to be in this position, because the institutions that you go to seek support are going to tell you this is your option. And I want to do this other option, which has been done before, right? So it makes it very challenging to have to navigate the system when I'm feeling like, okay, like I need to see a medical doctor because they have the testing, they have the resources, they have all that is necessary to get information, but I don't want to go that route of removal. I've been working on this and I continue to work on it day to day, and it's an interesting space to be. Now, don't get me wrong. If I was in a position where it was life or death, of course, I would do what I had to do. But for the time being, for where I'm at, this is just something that I want to work on organically and holistically. And I am going to do what I can in my power in order to do that. So that looks like a lot of dietary change. I have so many supplements that I'm taking. there's just a lot, but it's all for the sake of helping my body do what it can do to dissolve these issues. And yeah, it's been, the past couple weeks have been tough. There's just been uncertainty. I've been uncomfortable. It's just been, it's been tough. And to not be able to get in to see the doctor until middle of next month, that obviously is frustrating. And it really makes me wonder, and knock on wood, I'm very grateful for my health and the fact that I don't have to see specialists and I don't have to go to all these doctor's appointments. But it really is amazing how hard it is to see a doctor, to even get in, to get a call back, right? It's just wild to me how sick we are as a country, and how hard it is to access care. And not to mention the whole side of things that involve insurance and that side of things, right? I'm just saying in general, like physically getting in front of a doctor is no easy feat. And I, really thought about that a lot over the past few weeks, about how people who have multiple health conditions and can't even see a doctor for months at a time and are just sitting in their suffering, or what, it just, yeah, it's just a lot. It's a lot. So I'm doing okay. I feel good. I feel good because I know I take care of myself, and I know, the things that I'm doing help me on a day-to-day basis, and the supplements I take, and the activity I, prioritize, the sleep I get, I know all of these things are helping me feel good. It's just some of the symptoms associated with this particular issue have made it a little bit more challenging, but I'm doing things to help mitigate that. I am, really trying to do all that I can, all that's in my power to help support this process. So I will update you hopefully October 1st, or I guess no, October 1st is a Tuesday this year. I do know that because I have an appointment on October 1st and I know it's a Tuesday. So I will hopefully give you a more encouraging update then. But that's the latest with my health. I'm not going to talk about the food industry. I was going to talk about that, but we'll talk about that in an upcoming episode. I actually bumped an episode in, I think it's 2 weeks, maybe, or 3 weeks, because I want to talk more about the food industry, because there was a Time article that came out this week that tried to argue that ultra processed foods is healthy. And there's all sorts of chaos and havoc and uproar around this article. I spoke on Instagram about it, but I want to talk a little bit more about it at greater length because it's important. It's an important topic. So stay tuned for that. And Pilates update, still working at my certification, still attending class, trying to get there 2 to 3 times a week if I can. And I love it. It's been so great. I don't know. It's really challenged my body in ways that it's never been challenged before. It's still incredibly tough, but it's so much fun and I love it. And I love the studio. I love the owner of the studio. I love the people I've met in class. So overall, it's going to continue to be a staple in my routine, and my certification is underway as well. So I'm learning a lot more about the anatomy, the muscle groups, the movements, cue alignments, right? How to use the certain language to lead someone through the movement. So it's just really, really neat to see that side of things. But slowly but surely making my way. All right, so let's talk about what I've been loving. I did talk about the Shilajit. I've also been adding colostrum to my coffee, which if you haven't heard about colostrum, you must be living under a rock because everyone's talking about it now. But colostrum was part of my gallbladder routine. I switched to a different brand, and this brand is Heart and Soil. Great brand. Love this brand. They do a lot of good quality supplements, and they're rooted in this kind of ancestral perspective to health. So dating back to like how our ancestors and how, hunter-gatherers lived, and, very, whole foods based, but also very much the believers in high quality red meat as being like a very nutrient dense source of nutrition. That's kind of redundant, but you get what I'm saying. Which is also kind of the belief system that I've made my way into. Now I'm taking a break from red meat especially, but most animal-based meats. Excuse me, for the sake of the next few weeks, I'm eating largely vegetarian for the time being. But I've been adding colostrum, and what I've been doing is I've just been taking the capsule and I've been twisting. It's actually, it sounds so funny, but it's like actually kind of fun to take out the capsule, and I just dump it into my coffee, blending it in with a little bit of grass-fed half and half, and it's great. Colostrum is really great for all of your mucosal barriers in your body. Okay, we've got lots of them, but especially our gut. And it's a powerhouse supplement. If you haven't read about the recent hype, I think Armra Colostrum has been the kind of leader in this, and now a lot of other brands have been kind of coming out with their own colostrums. But yeah, really, really cool, easy to incorporate, and I know it's good for my gut lining. I know it's good for a number of other things. So that's just a part of the reason why I've been incorporating it, but it's nice to not have to do it by taking a capsule, just adding it. Now you can get supplements, colostrum supplements that are just powdered as they are, right? Like Armra is a powdered colostrum that you can add in. But I had this brand's supplement, or this brand's colostrum already, and I was like, let me just open the capsule. And just if you do that, if you do decide to buy one that's encapsulated and you want to do that, just be sure that there's no other ingredients in it. Like, be sure that it's just like 100% colostrum, because that might, flavor wise, that might be a little questionable. But this one is 100% colostrum, so it's Heart and Soil. That's the brand that I'm using. And herbal teas. Okay, so I had Lindsay on the podcast a couple weeks ago, or was it last? It was last week, talking about herbal teas, and she sent me some of her herbal teas that I have been loving lately, just as I've been using them. But she completely got me back into the herbal tea world. Okay, because if you followed me last year, you know I was drinking herbal tea all cold weather long, all season long. I was always drinking something warm. I never didn't have a mug. And so she kind of brought me back into it, even though it was like 100-degree weather. I was doing iced herbal teas. So what I've been doing is I've just been using my 64-ounce mason jar. I've been steeping the loose leaf tea in the mason jar, big guy, filled to the top, put it in the fridge overnight, let that steep, and then I strain it in my nut milk bag, which I get from Ellie's Best. Love them. And I keep it in the fridge, and I just pour it over ice when I want it. It's been the best. So I'm really, really excited for warm tea season, which is just about here. But some of the ones I've been loving, peppermint tea after dinner. I don't know if I shared on this. I have to make note of what I've been sharing on. Peppermint tea after dinner. Peppermint tea has been really, really soothing for this gallbladder situation. So I've just been adding that more in. But I'm not usually a peppermint person. Like, I don't like peppermint mocha. I don't like, I just don't care for peppermint. But peppermint tea is like the most soothing. Oh my goodness. After dinner, after a meal, it's like the best. I have it at night. I've kind of ditched my sleepy time tea for my peppermint tea. So cannot recommend that enough. Super, super good for, stomach issues, indigestion, things of that nature. But even just keeping it as a part of your rotation after dinner or at any point in time, yes, the best. Traditional Medicinals is my favorite brand for that. I've also been doing nettle leaf, which is great for whole body wellness, anti-inflammatory. So I've been blending that with Traditional Medicinals Peppermint Probiotic Delight, I think it's called. And this one has peppermint tea with lemon balm. Lemon balm is really, really great anti-anxiety, but it's also great for digestion, which no surprise there, right? Because anxiety and our digestive system, the brain gut connection, you all know, right? So that's really great. And I guess it has like a strain of probiotic bacteria in it. So those I've been loving. And then the Everyday Detox by Traditional Medicinals. The dandelion variety is something else I've been adding in regularly. And that is something that I will do and use ongoingly for the rest of my life because of the fact that I need help in the detox arena of health. So that will be something that I incorporate. I will do just dandelion root tea, but this one has a blend of, I think it's maybe burdock root. Like, there's other ingredients in it that are really great for kidney and liver support. So I love those. So I've just been like mixing and matching, and it's been really great. And I'm excited for the fall and the winter where I can have it more regularly warm. But that's really what I've been loving in terms of like the herbal tea world, as well as the teas by Simbi. That has been one of my favorite things. I also wanted to say I have been working on some content creation work, I guess you could call it, ever since May. And it's basically, I won't go too much into the details of it, but it's really allowed me to try new products, all health and wellness related. And I've been able to buy them and I review them and I've been making some money off of it. So as I try new products, I will continue to bring them to the platform, to the podcast and share on them. It's getting to the point where it's a little overwhelming because I've been trying a lot of different things and I've been giving reviews and it's actually become like a substantial part of my income. So it's been awesome and I've been loving it, but there's just there's a lot, right? There's a lot going on. I have a lot of things in my pantry, a lot of things on my counter, but some of the products I'm like, oh, this is great. Like I will absolutely repurchase this because I've just really genuinely enjoyed it. One of those things is adaptogenic mushrooms. I've been adding in adaptogenic mushrooms, whether it is just in a powder in my smoothies. I have a functional creamer that I've been adding to my matcha that has some adaptogenic mushrooms. Just last night, I tried this hot chocolate brand that has adaptogenic mushrooms in it. So I've just been trying it in a variety of different ways. And this is something that I have always found so interesting, but especially now in the world that we live in and what I'm dealing with personally on a professional level, but also with my health, I really want to give my body the support that it needs to navigate and adapt to the stress that I'm experiencing. So I've been adding these in more regularly, and I just find the concept of it to be really cool, right? Each mushroom serves a different purpose, and adding them in regularly can really help in a very gentle way to boost, mood, cognition, promote relaxation and calm, and really overall just help your body adapt, hence adaptogenic. Mushrooms help your body adapt to stress. And it can be just kind of like this blanket support that you give your body. Also, gummies I was sent. Further Foods sent me their, was it Further Foods? No, I don't think it was Further Foods. Maybe it was. Okay, don't quote me on that. A brand, I forget the brand's name. They sent me their gummies, and not those types of gummies, like adaptogenic mushroom gummies. And really great because gummies are usually added with like a bunch of BS. Like any vitamin that you're looking at that's a gummy, just be very intentional about reading the ingredients, because usually if it tastes good or if it's a gummy, there's either sugar in it or whatever it is. But they are really diligent about the quality and what their product contains. And they sent me a variety of their gummies to try, and it's been really neat, like to incorporate them. They taste good, but I've been doing it in a number of ways. So this new platform that I'm using to support these brands, I'm giving honest reviews on them. I've been able to incorporate them into my routine. And I've been trying some new products. So if you follow me on Instagram, you might notice that there has been new things that I've shared. And a lot of it's coming from that platform. So I never want to come across as though like I'm just buying all of these things, like just buying them in excess. I'm using them for a purpose, right? But that's kind of explains that side of things, but also the adaptogenic side. Like that, I think that is like such an easy add in. The brand that I really like for this purpose is OM mushrooms. They're really great. And there's another one too, but it's escaping me right now. It'll come back to me. But yeah, that's a really great brand. But I've been using just kind of like a number of different products with these in it. You only need like a teaspoon, have a teaspoon, and it can be an easy addition to your day. So let's talk now about, there's two different questions I'm going to answer before wrapping up for today. Today was a lot of just like life update and less other topics of focus, but I do want to add in two questions. So what is one thing to focus on if everything else was a mess in health? Okay. And this is like a very complex question, right? Like if everything was going wrong, if everything was, upside down, right? Like what would I focus on? And I'm not going to lie, I would focus on, and now this is kind of like a what came first, the chicken or the egg, right? Two things come to mind. Remove the sugar. Remove the sugar. Okay. Now I don't know like the total context of the story, but like let's just assume that everything is just not good, right? Remove the sugar. And that means sugar in all of its forms. Okay. If it's hiding in certain places, whatever it is. Remove the sugar because you can't heal, you can't make changes if you don't remove the things that are causing inflammation, that are causing problems, right? And sugar is obviously one of the first culprits in that. And work on your sleep. Now, I know that sleep is largely impacted by exercise and nutrition, right? So I don't want to say that that's going to be, oh, I'm going to work on my sleep and my sleep's going to be stellar if my nutrition, my exercise are no good, right? Likely there's some sort of sleep issue going on if everything else is a mess. But I believe that sleep really is the bedrock to having good nutrition and exercise. And sleep's going to help you make better choices nutritionally and move your body more easily, right? When we don't sleep, our hunger hormones are dysregulated. So our ghrelin, which is it's the hormone that tells us we're hungry, that's increased, and our leptin is decreased, which is the hormone that tells us we're full. So you can imagine just physiologically that it's not just about, oh, I don't have willpower around food. It's something going on within your body that's keeping you from feeling like you have control, right? Sleep deprivation is also a stressor, right? And so if we're sleep deprived and we're stressed out as a result of that, that's going to cause us lots of issues, including inflammation, including poor nutritional choices, including elevated blood sugar, right? And that's no good either, right? That's not going to help, you get to the gym. It's not going to help you, eat more healthfully. So I would say if there is one thing, and now I'm going to make it two things, remove the sugar, like first steps, remove the sugar, work on consistency with your sleep. Because everything else, while there's lots of other things that are important and we could get really granular here on it, everything else will become so much easier if you start here, right? Start here and then take one step in front of that. All right. And then just keep chipping along, chipping at it. But those would be the two suggestions that I would make. And then favorite protein powder. So this is like a ongoing journey, right? Because I've tried numerous protein powders. But right now, someone asked me for a vegetarian, or I guess a plant-based protein powder. I suggested Ritual. Ritual's really, really great. I love Ritual. I have Ritual in my pantry right now. And then there was one more that I suggested that's plant-based. Oh, Further Foods is one that I'm trying right now that's plant-based. So you could try Further Foods, you could try Ritual. I also, from an animal-based perspective, like Be Well by Kelly. That is like my personal favorite. I just keep going back to it. I try other ones and I'm like, nope, you're just not as good. You're not as good. I love my Be Well by Kelly. That one's like my favorite. But Just Ingredients, I know that they have some good quality ones. Promix is one that I've recently incorporated. They have some good grass-fed options. I believe they have a vegan one too. And Equip Foods. That's an animal-based one as well. So those are my top suggestions. I would just encourage you look for ones that are higher quality, that have, the necessary ingredients, and that's it, right? Not all these other wild, wacky ingredients that most protein powders have. And yeah, that's my suggestion for you on protein powder. So as we move into September, I encourage you to invest in your health, as I always do. And, really take the time to reflect on what your body's asking for, what maybe your mental health is asking for, and, and act accordingly. Something that I have been doing very regularly, which I'm very proud of myself for, because this was a struggle for me for a while, was meditation and regularly meditating. And I am so grateful that I have cultivated this practice because I really love it now. But I've been doing 10, 15, even 20-minute meditations, which is huge. I do it all through the Peloton app, and it's really set the tone for my day. And it's been something that I've needed these past few weeks as I've been kind of navigating the situation with my gallbladder. So that's something that I'm really going to be driving, as a priority come the next month in September and moving forward. And I'm really excited for that. And then also just making more time for reading. I'm also moving to a new platform with my clients. So that's really exciting. I'm going to start a platform that's offered as an app. And this is really 98% of this is obviously to streamline things, to make things a little bit easier for me in that regard. But for the work life boundaries that I so desperately need, that is something I need to work on. So that is also a big priority because I can control in there notifications from clients and really shut off and say like, okay, I'm done at 7 o'clock or I'm done at whatever time, because I've just really kind of overstepped that for a while. And even my client said to me, who I've been with for literally 2 years, she was like, I don't think you've ever once said to me, like, oh, I'm taking time off, I can't meet next week. She's like, you've never done that. I'm like, yeah, you're right. I haven't done that. You're right. I need to. So that is underway as well. That's like a personal goal, but also a professional goal that I'm working on. But yeah, so this has been great. I hope that you've enjoyed. A lot of this was just me chit chatting and talking about what's going on, what the latest is. More to come this fall. I mean, I already have my schedule kind of laid out for the remainder of 2024 with the podcast, which is so crazy because we're coming up on, it'll be a year in January, which is wild, but I've loved it. And if you have podcasts, topic suggestions, please let me know. But the ones that come are great, are so good. I'm so excited. I had to even like pick between a couple because I have so many and they'll have to wait till 2025. But yeah, I love this. This is great. This has really, really been such a light in my week to be able to do this. And I look forward to it every week. And I hope that you look forward to it every week and you've been enjoying the guests and so forth. And yeah, so thank you so much for joining me for family dinner and coming to the table once again. I hope that you have a wonderful September and look forward to more episodes, especially around the holistic dentistry to come in oral health. But until next time, be well.